In my video, a short lesson in the presentation of bizarre magic, I showed a clip of someone performing an effect called the Psychokinetic Bolt. I described this as having no thought given to the presentation and as a mere demonstration. I said that it would certainly lend itself to a seance effect with a story. Well, I put my mind to it and decided to work on an example of how it could be presented. So I sent off for the effect and began to work on my idea. Before I show you, here is a reminder of the clip I used. And now my version, a seance for Uncle Charles. When I was a young boy, we had a neighbour whom I called Uncle Charles. He wasn't my uncle, but in those days, out of respect, you called your parents' friends uncle or auntie. He was a really nice old man and had been an engineer in his working days. He'd had a workshop that was just fascinating to a young boy. It was full of interesting looking tools, boxes of odds and ends, a large workbench and a lathe and bench drill. Uncle Charles used to make things and repair items of all sorts. It was an Aladdin's cave to me as a small boy, and I used to help him as he taught me how to use various tools. He was wonderfully patient, as I'm sure that my helping him made everything he did 4 times longer. I looked forward eagerly to weekends when I'd go around to Uncle Charles's workshop to see what his latest project was. One day, Uncle Charles took out a nut and bolt from his waistcoat pocket and laid it on the bench before me. He told me it was his lucky nut and bolt, and that for the past 45 years he'd carried it with him everywhere he went. Intrigued, I asked him why it was his good luck charm, and he told me this story. During the First World War, he'd been conscripted into the Royal Engineers, due to him being an engineer by trade. He was sent to Belgium and was serving on the Somme salient when one day he was working in a workshop a few miles back from the front. He was repairing a piece of machinery at a heavy engineer's steel bench when he dropped a nut and bolt, the very bolt that was now on his bench. He bent down and crawled under the bench to retrieve the nut and bolt and had just grabbed hold of it when there was a huge explosion. A German shell had hit the workshop. Everyone bar Uncle Charles, who was in the workshop, was killed. But he was saved due to the fact that he was under the heavy steel bench. From that day on, the nut and bolt went everywhere with him. It had saved his life once, so he would never let it go again. Well, one Saturday I was in the workshop with Uncle Charles when he told me he had a gift for me, and he handed me his lucky nut and bolt. He told me that it had given him luck all his life, but now he was old and his life was almost over and he didn't need it anymore. He said that he wanted me to have the same luck it had brought him. Uncle Charles died a few months later. He was 90 years old. I often wonder if he knew that his time was near. Anyway, that's why I have the nut and bolt now. He carried this about his person for over 45 years, so it must surely have absorbed some of his energy, his being, or his spirit. It must surely be a good item to attract Uncle Charles's spirit here tonight. Please take the nut and screw it onto the bolt. Now, we will ask Uncle Charles's spirit to give us a sign that he is here with us tonight. So there it is, a seance for Uncle Charles. I also found a different way of handling the bolt, which I think looks better as you don't have to actually touch it. Having the nut and bolt on the table in front of you and your sitter draws them into the presentation and makes them a part of it. It's not you who are causing the nut to unscrew, it is the spirit of your Uncle Charles, which is drawn to his lucky charm. So, you see that you can build up a presentation if you take the time and effort to think about it, rather than slavishly following the instructions how to operate the effect that you find in the package.